Stand by.
Stand by.
Stand by.
Stand by. Stand by. We all doing some work? Did you go out, or is that for tomorrow?
We're
This is the
scout for tomorrow.
Business Podcast
Yeah.
with Cory Mosley.
Go see the space.
Yeah. Yeah, she said y'all went out and did some pre-work.
We're gonna see. What's that?
She said y'all went out and did some site.
Yeah. We giving a rundown. Tell all our business. Ain't got no key no more.
Doesn't mean I'm not interested.
No, you gotta watch
I'm not
it.
interested.
Gotta watch LG 007 there. LG 007 got the cat eye, the hawk eye. That was abrupt there, Willie H. Okay. Well, yeah, that was not a fade out exactly. I don't know what's going on today, folks, but yeah.
That was a hard stop.
We're here. I'm gonna go with that part. We're here. You are at the right destination. This is the Grow Business Podcast. Yes, the destination that you come to if you're looking for smart ways, intelligent ways, front of the learning curve ways to grow your business. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. And I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, LG 007. LG, are you using some new products? For people not watching us on YouTube, you look like the hands of time are coming back. De-stressing, maybe.
Maybe.
I know you were on vacation, a couple of things.
Maybe.
It could be the tan. Is it the tan? Maybe it's the tan.
Maybe it's the tan.
That little extra shot of vitamin D that came in. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that's what it is.
Could be a game changer. Yeah, well,
Indeed.
I'm happy to see you. Happy that you're here. We're going to get some of your wisdom and knowledge today. And, of course, the man on the boards, we will grade him at the end of the show, is none other than our producer, Willie H. is here.
Hit the buttons, William.
Yes. Another exciting day.
Indeed.
You know, we don't have any real rhyme or reason necessarily to, like, sometimes when we record. It's, kind of scheduling. But
right.
I got to tell you, there's just some days where, it's like, yeah. Like if we weren't on a schedule,
right?
Like if I had that fundamental option, because we're committed to, the audience, we're committed to the listeners, but there's just one of those good old fashioned like call out days sometimes,
right?
But you can't call out when your name's on the door many times, right?
100%.
So you got to show up and regardless,
right?
So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I'm gonna be spicy today or
as we get moving.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest part's getting moving, and once you're moving, you can move faster.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think once we get into it, I think you're going to liven up.
Maybe we'll do some role. I'm going to plan for a future episode of role reversal.
Okay.
I'm going to let you pick the topic and you surprise me, and then I'm going to be. I'll say right a lot, like you say when I talk.
You'll validate
and then I'll drop in.
Okay.
And then I'll drop in a little nugget here and there.
Okay.
I think that'll be exciting.
So,
folks, we're talking about something today, as you know. Oh, yeah, he's pointing. Yeah, we're sponsored today by Position for Growth, my new book that's out, Amazon bestseller. Yeah, Amazon bestseller. Position for Growth, now available on Amazon or via CoryMosley.com if you're into things like having your book signed. I don't know. Maybe you like that kind of stuff.
Right.
If you order from CoryMosley.com, we will do that. Otherwise, you can order from Amazon. I think the book is the same price.
Okay.
Either place. And I think we ship for free from the website, too.
Okay.
Because, yeah. I make more money that way.
Yeah.
Even though I have the shipping.
Okay.
Because, the royalties.
Oh, right.
Once you go through Amazon.
Right.
Are kind of.
Yeah, they get
Yeah, I mean, unless you're John Grisham or Daniel Steele or Tom Clancy.
Right.
Nobody really gets rich writing books. Or Malcolm Gladwell, maybe. I'm sure he's made out pretty well. Seth Godin, those guys. Alas.
But
Amazon or CoryMosley.com. But the book's doing very, very well. So I'm very appreciative. So I'm not knocking, anything. We're really excited about the feedback we've been getting in the marketplace.
Good. I was going to say, it doesn't diminish the content. The content is still absolutely valuable for the people that are listening to the show.
I gotta check with the office. I don't think. Do we have LG's $20? I don't think we've gotten LG's $20
yet.
What?
You didn't, and because and I will fix that. I was in the process of moving. I did not need to add one other thing to my move. But now that I'm on the other side of the move,
slide. I think personally he was holding out, thinking maybe we just slide him a copy there. But
no,
fuel the economy.
No, we'll invest in supporting friends and colleagues.
I love
Absolutely.
it. Well, if you don't have your copy of the book, you will know the first thing you will notice as you start to read the book that Position for Growth is based on the 5 pillars framework, and that's what we talk about every week here on the show. So what we try to do and what our goal is to dedicate each show to one of those pillars.
Okay.
So mindset, sales, marketing, operations, and people. Those are the 5 pillars. Now, the pillars themselves aren't designed to be groundbreaking. They're designed to be familiar, because psychologically, if I can share some concepts with you that are familiar to you, you are more likely to absorb the information.
Right.
So we keep the pillars familiar, and then the tactics and techniques are where you can get a competitive edge.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah, I mean, the reality of it is that, business has been successful for a long time. And there's some consistencies in that.
Yes.
And then personalizing it, and especially for our audience and for the small business owner and mid-sized business owner, typical clients that you're working with on a regular basis.
So we've talked about, we did people.
Yes.
We did marketing.
Yes.
We did sales.
I think we did sales. Yes.
Okay. So today, well, it's not, I was going to ask you to guess, but you're running out of runway here.
Okay.
Of what we might talk about, but I'll give you a shot at it.
I got a 50-50 chance of being right.
Good odds. Yeah.
I'm going to go with operations.
Okay. Did you do a walk by of my laptop?
I got a 50-50 shot. Okay. So
well, I still wasn't even giving you credit, right? I was like, he must have cheated even on the 50-50.
I'm as likely to be right as not today.
I don't know what that was. Hit it again.
Perfect. Bingo.
There you go.
Willie Yates coming up with new every week. He brings something new to the table. We gotta just listen out for it. It's exciting. So yes, we are talking about operations today.
Excellent.
And of course, sales is a sexier topic. Marketing is a sexier. Operations is not super sexy, but bad operations equal bad business. Right? So it is a necessary thing to talk about. So we want to dive into really some of the key metrics that small businesses should be regularly tracking to really make sure you're on the path. A lot of times I have gut conversations with, business owners, which is, we feel like business has dropped off.
Right.
We feel like we're not getting as many, phone calls or leads. We feel like, or, I think we're going to, cancel this service. Well, why do you want to do that? Well, we feel like it's not work. Okay, well, let's move. Feel is great when you're selling.
Correct. Well,
you want people emotionally involved in the buying process.
Right.
But analytical behavior, thought-based behavior may be important when you're trying to make decisions.
Right. Or
trying to look at the landscape. So I want to talk about a couple of these here. There's so many that we could cover, but I'm just going to pick a few of the ones that I think might be most important.
Okay. Well, and here's the other part of it, Cory, too. We're going to do this again. So we'll start with these, and then we'll come back and get some more later. Yeah,
100%. So I think, what are some of the ones? So I'm gonna do this little reverse, because as you know, LG007 doesn't know the topic. So he doesn't know the topic, and then that means he doesn't actually know what's on the screen.
That's correct. Yes.
So I'm going to throw it to you and see what your thoughts are, and then match those to the list.
Okay.
Let's see what some of your things that would be on there would be on the list. Okay. What would pop in your head in terms of metrics that should be tracked on a regular basis?
Well, certainly I think understanding inventory would be something that would be important.
All right, inventory is on the list.
Okay.
Now, we have it in the discussion of turnover, right?
Okay.
So understanding what the inventory turnover, how many, particularly obviously for product-based companies, if you're a consultant, not as relevant, but the number of times inventory is sold and replaced over a period to determine how you're managing inventory.
Right.
And if you're overstocking, understocking.
Right. Like how you set your par levels.
Yeah.
Right.
Because what I think is interesting there is I see a lot of people when it comes to product and inventory make emotional decisions.
Okay.
Now, I come from the auto industry, so it was very common to have a used car manager
Right.
that was like, "Oh, we sold that green Camry really fast. Let me go get 9 more of them."
Okay. Right.
That should be against the law.
Oh, Willie
Perfect.
ain't just
He's
getting,
good.
we're
Yeah.
hitting that stride. I think we're busting loose on 50 episodes.
There
So
we go.
I think we're hitting that stride now. But so like that would be very common.
Correct.
So and then all of a sudden, then it tanks, right? Then it's we call it soft. Then it's a soft market
Right.
on that. It was like, well, what was the data? We can't be.
Right.
Or I see a company, put out a product and that product kind of does well, and then someone makes a suggestion, like one person.
Right.
And then they go create a whole nother like product or offering because 1 or 2 customers were like, "Oh, you really should have X.
Right.
You should make sugar-free candy.
Right.
Why don't you have any of that?" And then you go the recipes and this whole thing. You make sugar-free candy,
Right.
and it bombs.
Right. And even that person didn't even buy
Right,
it.
they didn't even come back to buy it. Right,
Exactly.
it's like, "Hey, I got the sugar-free. Would you like 10 pounds or 20 pounds? 'Cause that's how much I made." So I think that's an area, right?
Right.
Okay. That's. I mean, there's no follow up. That's to be. I mean, we want to highlight them, right? So,
Right.
what is another one that would be
That's
on the
what
list?
I'm trying to think
okay.
of.
That was a stall. All right.
I was buying time. I was buying time.
All right. I'll give you one. I'll
Okay.
pull one, and then I'll come back to you for
Okay.
one. So this is the big one. Gross profit margin.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know how many times I will talk to, particularly a retailer,
Right.
and I will say, "Oh, well, what is it called?" Or I say, I call it, let me qualify it. See, there's people that have side businesses or businesses that are trying to get off the ground.
Right.
And then there's the ones that are like truly, truly running their business, right?
Correct.
Generally, the people who are truly, truly running their business have these numbers, like they're day in.
Right.
What I find more often than not is the people who are more in the, getting started or getting going or whatever, they haven't really settled in the systems, really struggle with this.
Right.
Oh, great. We make mugs.
Right.
Okay, great. What's your margin?
Right.
Oh, well, because a lot of times business owners aren't putting their time, they don't associate any value, particularly
Correct.
if they're the ones, doing it.
Right.
They don't associate value to their time.
Right.
Right. It's like, there's raw materials.
Correct.
So this mug cost me $2.30. Well, what did the ink cost? What does it cost? What did the machine cost to do that?
Right.
How long does it take you to produce it?
Right.
What are you allocating to your time to determine that?
Right.
So, gross profit margin, which is the percentage of revenue left after deducting your COGS, cost of goods sold, right?
Okay.
This metric ultimately will indicate how efficiently the business is producing its
Right.
products or services.
Yes.
Yeah, net margin. Then I'll let you hop in.
Okay.
Net margin, right? Percentage of revenue that remains as profit after expenses, taxes, costs have been subtracted, which is the clear picture of overall profitability.
Right. That's true profitability.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot to say about that. I mean, do you know what you're making or not?
Right.
I mean, are you buying it or are they buying it? Are they buying it from you?
So what's interesting is people think this is only pertinent or reflective in the products world. And it's more common to know the numbers.
Right.
If I'm producing widgets, it's more common because I got to have raw costs. I got to have raw materials.
It's easier to count.
Yeah. Where it gets interesting is on the professional services side.
100%.
Like I have a whole video that's out there somewhere that I recorded about how a $10,000 deal becomes a $15 an hour job for a consultant.
Right.
Right? It's like, oh, Cory, we killed it. We scored. We got a $10,000 consulting deal. Fantastic. Great. Pause on that.
Right.
Break it down for me.
Right. What's the
deliverable?
Right.
Oh, well, I've got to go. I'm on site. I got to show up at the location 2-3 times. I've got to build this, or I've got to deliver this, or I've got to do this coaching call. I got to do this.
Right.
And then you start peeling away the onion and you're like, well, let's allocate time for this. Let's allocate time for that.
Right.
And it's like, not to burst the bubble.
Lord have mercy.
But this is $15 an hour.
Well, and I use the example. So that's you're absolutely right. And I use the example. You go back to the high school coaches, like the coach of the Colonial Heights Chiefs team that was undefeated.
There we go. Now
Yeah,
that's
right.
what I'm talking about, LG, right there. Shout out
Well,
to Colonial Heights Chiefs, undefeated. I found my jersey recently.
Did you
That's
really?
funny that I did not. Most of I found my mother has all this stuff in her attic. Bless her heart.
Yeah.
I'm sure she has a lot of stuff. Period. But
Right.
I said, well, let me get this out before it gets caught in the whirlwind. So
Right.
I have my original jersey and some other memorabilia. Maybe I'll start a little. There used to be a shrine. Is the shrine still? My mother still have the shrine. She had a little shrine made to me, like in the living room, and it had like all my awards from like school and stuff.
Very nice.
And by school, I mean middle school
Right.
and high school. Maybe not even high school. I don't know if the awards made it that far, but
Right.
shout out to the Chiefs. Please continue.
Well, so going back to though the value, the profitability for the time invested, right? So when I talk about a coach, a high school coach will get one lump sum at the end of the season as part of their compensation. And when you start talking to them, they break it down when you look at game time and game film and prep and playbooks and all the stuff that goes into it outside of practice and games. They're gonna make it like $5 an hour, maybe. Same thing with professional services. If you don't calculate the level of investment in your time, and your time includes materials, training, your education, your study, your development,
Right.
those things all have to show up in your gross profit and your net profit and what you're charging your clients for the work that you're doing for them. So having something like you said that you can go through and identify that, what does that actually mean for you in real dollars?
Yeah. And I think
of reason.
there it is. I can wrap the episode now. There it is. Okay. Profit margin, net profit margin, inventory. Now back to you. What do you think?
Well, I think time from sale to deliverable.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is once
I know what you mean, but go ahead.
Well, once the sale's complete to the time that the customer actually receives the goods, receives the product, and it could be 5 minutes because it could be a cash, like a retail type transaction, or it could be in an IT type situation. It could be a 12 to 18 month ultimate deliverable.
Right.
So do you understand what that time is and what the costs associated with that time are?
I like that. And then I'm going to wrap. That wasn't on the list as a bullet point, but that's good. And it lives in a bubble that I'm going to connect the dots on, which is CAC, customer acquisition cost.
Okay.
Right. So what does it even cost to acquire a customer?
Right.
And CLV, which is customer lifetime value.
Okay.
Right. So what does a customer mean to you over time?
Correct.
So now in that, what did it cost me to acquire them?
Right.
What does it cost me to deliver those products and services within that timeline?
Right.
And then what is the lifetime value of a customer that I acquire?
Right.
And this is hugely important from an advertising perspective. When you go to make the decision, because people will think about return on investment, right? Which is another one that's on the list, right? What's the ROI on something?
Right.
But they don't take the consideration. I'll give you a great example. I was on with a client today, and I was meeting first with a company pitching advertising.
Okay.
So they want the client to advertise in their publication and their media piece. So the client brought me in to hear the pitch and to talk about that.
Right.
So I listened to what they had to say, visitors and visitors and downloads and traffic and circulation, all those things. It was digital and it was a print kind of component. So, so I was asking, well, let's break that down. How much is this? How much is that? So at the end of it, when I was speaking to the client, I asked the question, when making this decision on what, there's 85 different packages, of course, that you can get, in different ways to make them. We could have probably bought the napkins. We could have probably sponsored napkins if we wanted to.
Right.
So there's a lot of different ways and a lot of different options. My question to the client was, what is the average transaction from this? Because it was a niche group that this publication and this media company represented. Like it was a certain group.
So very specific target market.
Yeah. I leave this stuff out now because I've learned that many of our clients listen to the podcast.
Right.
And we had one of our clients Slack us to their Slack channel that like, oh, I listened to the podcast and now I'm doing that thing on our web. I'm like going through this stuff that you told me from the website, or were you talking about me? So like, so now I keep it generic. So the context. So the company was specifically in a certain type of media. So my question was, what does the average ticket look like for that group of client? Right. And what is the overall lifetime value? Because if there's not a high value to it, then we're doing this, and what is the type of work necessitate be done? Right. So we taking on this work that has a lot of moving parts, but low margin. Right. Just to take advantage of this quote unquote great advertising opportunity. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's, when you're targeting, you're talking about a great advertising opportunity. Mm-hmm. The bigger picture of this is, what is your ideal market? Who are your ideal clients? And do they fit in the space that you're trying to deal with? Or are you trying to add a specific client to your business and this targets that client? If not, if it's a low, like you talk about, if it's a low margin, high in level of investment, whether it be financial investment, time investment, or both, because there's a creative component to this to create the advertising. I mean, what are you getting for it? Mm-hmm. And what does it take? Here's the other thing, and this is an extension of what you're talking about, Cory. What does it take in terms of new client acquisition from this advertisement to pay for it and break even? Right. And if you don't know that, then you got to figure that out first, which is why they brought you in, because you're going to help them figure that out. Right. And one, you're going to point out that they need to know it. Well, and the fact that we can't just be excited by I pitch. Right. So I understand how you want. I want people to be excited about doing business with us. Right. So I understand how that works. Right. But then you've got to ask those fundamental questions on the back end. So he's excited. Right. Like, oh, this is great. This, we can do this, we can do that. And then I'm like, hold on, buckaroo. Right. Let's ask some more questions here, or I'm the mood killer, right? In that instance. Now, I don't want anybody killing my mood when I'm working with a client. I want them excited, right? But I'm the mood killer because it's like, all right, now let me get into some practical conversations. Like, how do we actually use this? How do we leverage this? And I am known, one of the statements that I'm known for, everyone knows about ROI, but anybody who's ever worked with me has heard me talk to them ad nauseum about ROE, which is return on energy. Right. And that gets left out a lot of times. Right. But like anybody in the Mosley orbit system, but like, and no clients will be like, I know Mosley, you're going to tell me, what's my return on energy on this? Right. Because that matters. Oh, it matters a lot. In a small business environment. Now, you've got 1,000 employees or 500, or you're over the threshold of what is defined, but you've got a team of 10. Right. Every place you put your time matters. Correct. Yeah. Well, and I want to work with. Well, if you think about it in terms of, the interstate system in America, if you're driving down the interstate, you're moving at a clip, right? Right. If you take a detour, you completely lose all your momentum. You pull off the rest area, you go to the bathroom, you pull off to get gas, you go to the bathroom,
which
you
is
get
why
supplies.
People hold it and starve, because in their mind they've got this like, oh, I'm making good time.
Get closer, Yeah. But it's the same thing. If you do something like you take an exit or a detour, you end up losing momentum. And that's part of what you're talking about, your energy. What does it take to get that momentum back? You know what really kills it? What's that analogy you're using? What's that? When you think you're dipping off really quickly, and they lie to you about how far something is. It's not really 0.3 miles. Right, it's like, Wawa or McDonald's or whatever, and you get off, and then it's like 2.3 miles. Right, exactly. And now you're way off of the track. Right. You can tell I've driven up and down 95 a lot of my life. Or the Chick-fil-A before they used to post closed on Sundays and people didn't know. They
wow. There's Chick-fil-A. Did that happen? Oh, wow. Okay.
It does happen.
I never had that happen to me.
Yeah, well, that's because they're closed on Sundays.
Yeah. Who doesn't know that? Well, I guess it's got to be new markets that are being introduced to.
As they continue to move further north. Right. I mean, they're based out of Atlanta. As they continue to move further north, good point. They're introducing themselves to people that they don't always So they,
You know what's not closed on Sunday? The Waffle House.
That's exactly right. Waffle House had never closed.
That's all. That's open all. Did you know? Fun fact.
Right.
And I never would have thought this. I would have thought this for waffles.
Right.
But they sell more T-bone steaks than any other restaurant in America.
So I would have never thought that, but I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, I never would in a million years go to the Waffle House for T-bone steak.
Right.
Now, I better. So I gotta. I don't know. What I have to say about that? Because someone called me an elitist on TikTok this week.
Right.
Over something that was posted that I said, and they wrote elitist.
Oh, don't kid yourself. I've spent many a nights at Waffle House with scrambled egg, cheese eggs, and scattered and covered. So I got it.
And you had T-bone steak?
I did not have T-bone steak.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to...
Does that make me an elitist because I wouldn't go to Waffle House for a T-bone steak? That doesn't...
What would make you an elitist if you wouldn't go to Waffle House at all? The fact that you're even having a conversation
I've been to Waffle House.
100%, right? So
to try it out.
So let them call
it's
you
like
whatever
a thing.
they
You got to
want.
say that you've been there, right?
Right. Well, Waffle
Willie
House...
H. I was there with Willie H.
Yeah. Well, they talked about...
You better believe it.
Well, it was interesting at the very beginning of the pandemic.
This is how we get off the rails at the Grow Business Podcast. This is still relevant, though,
It
right?
is still relevant. And I'm working on a joke about the Waffle House, too. So
are you?
but I'm not going to
Okay.
share it here. I'll share it afterwards. But...
He doesn't want to get canceled.
well, no, I don't know. I mean, I still
Maybe
gotta
Waffle House
figure-
might sponsor us one day.
They might. Well, and I got to develop it.
Shout out to
make-
the Waffle House. In fact, I have to tell you, some of the best waffles I've ever had in my life have been had at the Waffle House. Such great people.
They absolutely have the best hash browns
Now
in
accepting
the entire
sponsors,
world.
Grow Business Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, finish it. Do you remember what your thought
I
is?
do remember what my thought
go
was.
ahead.
Because at the very beginning of the pandemic, they talked about how Waffle House is a gauge for market activity. When Waffle House's traffic slows down, you will really start to understand the impact of the pandemic on the economy.
Interesting.
And that was something that they looked at. And when you started to see Waffle House's revenues going down, it's like, we know it's serious and we know it's for real, but that's a place that has the ability to withstand certain economic events and impact. Because it's one, they're accessible.
Yeah.
Two, they're a recognized brand. Three, they're open almost 24 hours. Most of them are open 24 hours. And so everybody can afford to go there.
Right.
And so if you're going to go to a place, you may not go to the bougie steakhouse that you would go to regularly, but you can go to the Waffle House.
You didn't have to use that word. Why did you have to put bougie in there? You
Because I'm looking in the mirror when I say it.
Why is it bougie?
Because I appreciate it too.
It's just a nice place.
100%. There's lots of nice places that offer steaks that I would go to before Waffle's, but I would go to Waffle House for cheese, eggs, and hash browns scattered and
browns are
covered.
good. Yeah, shout out to Waffle House.
Yeah.
We love you, particularly if you're sponsored. All right, next up, I want to talk about churn rate.
Yes.
Churn rate. Percentage of customers who stop doing business with you over a given time. Because a high churn rate can signal problems with customer satisfaction, product quality, service, right? You want to start an Amazon store, what are your return percentages?
Right.
Because, the problem is everybody's being convinced online that they're just 2 steps away from $1 gajillion, right? Not even $1 million, not even $1 billion, $1 gajillion, because that's more than both of those things. Right. And all you need to do is buy an Amazon store, find some widgets on, buy something on Alibaba and then resell it on Amazon and then cha-ching.
Right.
Until, that 2-minute egg cooker that you bought 1 million of all get returned.
Right.
then it's Panic at the Disco, right? But understanding that churn rate, understanding, also why people are leaving.
Okay, so when you're talking about churn rate, because I'm thinking of it in terms of life expectancy.
No.
So
I'm talking about the rate of people who will order one time from your product and then never order again. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's creating that opportunity.
Okay.
People who are not, how many customers are you losing over a 6-month period? That would be your churn rate. If you're doing your math to do that. Total customers repeat, lost customers. Now I'm getting a churn rate. So I'm losing, 20% of our customers, 30% of our customers are not reordering our cookies.
Right. Okay.
We're churning through those customers.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, and then, I'll wait till you'll come to me for the next idea.
No, conversion rate.
Right. That's an important one.
Percentage of leads or visits. Now, in your retail world, if you work for a retail conglomerate,
Right.
they're up your butt about this stuff,
Right.
right? We were where were we the other day? Oh, we were at Warby Parker.
Okay.
I'm still in denial about glasses. I
Okay.
carry them now, but I refuse. I know you're there, and I know Willie H is over there. Until then, I'm
Right.
holding off on full-time glasses. But
Right.
we were having a conversation back when the solar eclipse was happening.
Oh, yeah.
They had a thing where they were giving out free glasses to see the eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
So, the retailers, and again, you have a background with retail, they've got the thing on the door that calculates the conversion rate of people coming in to sales, right? So they were just pointing out that, that crushed their whole numbers for it took forever to recover from that.
Oh, I'll bet, yeah.
Because you just had a rush of people coming in for 1, 2, 3 pairs of glasses, bringing their family in to get the free glasses.
Right.
And nobody had even intent. They didn't even know what a Warby or a Parker was. Right. They were just coming to get the free stuff. So those retailers understand that. But the average single store retailer is not using that technology to determine those things, which could be valuable.
Oh, 100%. Well, conversion rate is a universal statistic.
Yeah.
It's we talk about it in sales before, we talk about it in marketing, talk about it in operations, and it is a statistic that runs across all lines. And if you don't understand that, then you have a hard time really calculating the cost of acquisition.
Yep. AOV, average order value.
Okay.
What is the average order value? So during the pandemic, we worked with a bunch of restaurants.
Right.
And, one of the first things I had them do was cut out low performing products.
Right.
Products that they were holding inventory in.
Right.
That were not selling, but were taking up dollars.
Right.
Taking up space.
Right.
And in many cases, we had one restaurant where, he had kind of this sandwich that nobody was really ordering, that he was buying bread specifically for that sandwich.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he had the perfect storm. He had inventory that couldn't be used, and he couldn't repurpose that product because it was only correlated to that.
Right.
So it's we're going to raise prices and we're going to eliminate poor performing items on the menu.
100%.
Right. So how do we affect that average order value too?
Well, and to your point, Cory, we'll keep it in the restaurant industry. One of the things, we're in Virginia, so one of the things the state of Virginia did was allow restaurants to sell to-go drinks. Well, that significantly increased your order value.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is it in some cases inflated it.
Right.
Now, fortunately, they've allowed a percentage of that to continue beyond the pandemic. Yeah. But those are the types of things that if you don't know that before you change something dramatic like that, it really confuses you in understanding your business.
And that's a great example because that's a big world. As a consumer, you don't like this, but as a business owner, you do. As a consumer, if I order a drink, free-handed pouring,
correct,
versus you go into these chains, right? You're ordering a cocktail, that thing stops when it hits. Right. They've got the technology that literally is making sure that's supposed to be a 2-ounce pour. It cuts off at 2 ounces. Right. It's not Jackie back there feeling good today. Right. So now she's low because that adds up.
100%.
Those milliliters add up.
Right.
To lost financial opportunity.
Right. Well, and understanding that there are some states that mandate that you use the travel pours. So it's very controlled, very regulated. And it's much easier to keep track of your inventory. And
I'll ask the restaurants, I'm again, not the chains. The chains have these. People think that you shouldn't operate or you can't mirror what major corporations, major profitable corporations, they've spent the money to work a lot of this stuff out.
Right.
Right. You need to be applying. If you are you're your own entity, you've got your own restaurant, you've got your own you're not in a franchise environment or anything like that. Which is why people love franchises because of systems and processes. Right. You're running your restaurant and it comes with fries and, again, you're feeling good. So all of a sudden you start, unless you're Five Guys Burger and Fries where they encourage you to dump fries in, you got to pay attention. It's not just touch, feel. Right. And you don't feel it because you don't track it.
Right. Well, that's exactly right.
Oh, bag of fries. Here you go. You're not tracking it. So you run out of fries, you go buy some more.
Right. Well, and that's why, I mean, look, we're getting a little bit off the rails, but that's why you see.
No, I think we're in the wheelhouse.
Well, that's why you see in a restaurant business, somebody that has an idea and a concept. They go work in a franchise for a couple of years.
Oh, interesting.
Work in leadership.
Yep.
understand the systems and processes that are in place. And then they go, okay, now I've got some experience. It's almost like an own apprenticeship.
Right.
So people that tend to be successful come from organizations that at least are working in that, have that understanding of all this data, operational data that we're talking about.
Yep.
And then they can take that and apply it where they have access to it and where they can use it.
Yeah, I love it. All right. That's good.
One thing.
There's more.
There is more. One thing while we're talking.
I don't want to overwhelm people today.
No.
But at a minimum, operationally, because, we're in the business, we try to cover as much and entertain as much as we can in this kind of 45-minute to an hour chasm here, and this opportunity that we have with you. But the greatest thing we try to accomplish here is to have you start a conversation and particularly look at things you haven't before or re-look at things. Sometimes you hear, oh, okay, great, Cory. I mean, it's not the first time I heard about, customer acquisition costs or lifetime value. But are you actively involved in looking at that and tracking that and understanding what that means? So maybe we reignite you for the first time and reignite you. So the greatest gift here that we try to give is the gift of starting the conversation.
100%. And look, we know this in the speaking world. We know this in training. We know this in sales. The reality of it is you as the listener, and thank you for listening. Thanks for coming. And certainly thanks for coming back. You as a listener are going to gain more benefit if we have 5 items and you pick one than if we have 20 and you choose 3 or 4 and don't get to any of them.
Right.
So we try and keep this, in attainable lanes. Going back to lifetime value, though, I think there's a piece of that I talked a little bit about earlier, and is life expectancy. How long, especially in either consulting or where you're doing recurring, if you're selling cookies or you're selling a recurring use item, the work I do now, we have clients that come back to us, over time. And so understanding the life expectancy of your client. Does your client on average work with you for 6 months? Do they on average buy for a year? Do you get 4 or 5? Because it allows you to establish some incentive agreements and put those in place for a period of time. Say, okay, well, our average customer is a 1-year customer. Maybe you do an 18-month agreement. Say, hey, if you'll sign an 18-month agreement, give you a little bit of an incentive to work with me a little bit longer. Gives you an opportunity. And again, it's the lifetime value. But, part of that is the life expectancy. How long do you expect your clients to work with you?
100%. 100%. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
There was an interesting one on this list that I've never paid attention to.
Okay.
And it is employee productivity. Actually, let me not say I've never paid attention to it, but not in a way it's highlighted here.
Okay.
Which is employee productivity, which is a pathway to measuring output per employee or department.
Okay.
To basically understand how efficiently employees contribute to the business.
Okay.
As a way to highlight an area for improvement. And I think this is more like I've consulted for major corporations, but I would not make it inside a major corporation, like with 52 layers and a deep org chart and, managers upon managers and death by meeting and what's the dial in.
Right.
So that's not an area that I have particular expertise in terms of calculating that. But I'm sure how all these guys that have these massive layoffs have some calculation on what they're trying to achieve with that.
Well, they
You've
have
worked inside, more corporate environments than I have. I think
what they do have is, and everybody has a different number, how they come to the number. But what they do have, especially on the inside, we call it operations on the inside, especially on the inside, is they have a number that they come up with.
Yeah.
And that number has a part of its productivity, a part of its what is the cost of that employee. And when I say cost of that employee, I'm talking about salary and benefits, right? Because you're talking about anywhere between 135 and 150% of their salary when you start looking at their benefits. What is the cost of that? What is their productivity for sure? You know, how long have they been? They assign value to tenure as well. And they come up with, and they use that. And it's a statistic that they use, and they say, okay, well, here's the number that we're going to use. And it incorporates all of these things. And that's how they make some of those decisions.
Right.
I think when we talk about, that's really a productivity number. I think because we have such a background in sales, it's easier to identify productivity because it shows up in results. Like, what are you selling? And then what you have to understand is the value of the profitability of all of that. But in the operations on the inside, it's not always as directly tangible. So you have to get creative in how you identify what are you showing as productivity and what do you value?
Right.
Because not everybody's going to value the same way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Willie H., it's been a minute since you dropped something on us. You got nothing in the chamber there?
Perfect.
You can't start laughing until I couldn't even hear I didn't even know what he said. Well, drop it one more time. It's been a minute since you dropped something on us. You got nothing in the chamber there? Nah, he's just clipping anything. He's just making anything out there. But listen, I think that's it. I mean, that's the list for today, folks. I mean, my suggestion as always, look at this as chunking. What are the things that you heard today that, what's the top three? Right. I think we went through probably close to 6, 7, or 8, somewhere in that area. What are the top 3 that might be most valuable to you to start paying attention to for the first time, start paying more attention to, or start paying attention, repaying attention to it, and kind of, put it together.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of do that, head over to CoryMosley.com and order your copy of Position for Growth, of course.
Well, I encourage you to order your copy ahead of time so that you have something to write in, so that you have a guide that can actually help you track all these conversations that we're having.
I love it. 100%. Well, I think that's it, LG. I mean, I don't want to belabor the point. Sometimes it's like talking past the sale, right?
Right.
I think we got to the meat and the crux of it, and
100%.
As usual, talked about some things that weren't on the table, and Waffle House. Shout out to the Waffle House again. We're looking for sponsors here at the Grow Business Podcast.
I spent a lot of after
Is that
midnight.
on brand? Would that be on brand for them to sponsored by the Waffle House? Would that be on brand? I wonder.
Well, growing your business is important for everybody,
and you get hungry.
And you get hungry.
And you got to eat.
And they're everywhere.
Yeah. And sometimes, you're working on your business at night.
Right.
And you get hungry. And you know what? Those other chains, they give up on you at about 9 o'clock.
They do.
They have the nerve to close.
Right.
Not the Waffle House.
Right.
The one by us is not 24 hours, though. So they have to do some work. I think they're building up to it.
Like the new one, because where they're doing that
they
new
built a new one. That's one, by my house.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the one we go to.
Okay.
Because sometimes the other ones I've seen online, allegedly, some chairs and stuff get thrown in there. Get aggressive. Allegedly, that I've seen online.
Right.
I'm going to leave it there.
I've heard that not every Waffle House is in the same type of area that you live.
100%.
Right.
But that's going to do it for us today, folks. I mean, as always, we want to thank you for your viewership, your listenership. We continue to come back every week because we want to help you grow your business. LG007 and I are committed to doing that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And look, thanks for coming, and thanks for coming back.
100%. We say that. We got to go back and do what we say a lot.
Right. We'll do a stroke count.
Yeah.
Do our own inventory.
Yeah. You say right a lot.
I do. Well, it's because you're right a lot.
Yeah, well, there you go. And folks, LG007 will be back next week. That is confirmation that he'll be back next week. I'm Cory Mosley. He's LG007. On behalf of myself, Lon, and Willie H., this has been the Grow Business Podcast. Willie H., take us out. All right. Well, all right.
All righty then. My goodness.
Yeah, we got all kinds of levels going on here.
We do.
Yeah, level up. That was good. You took the on the spot thing You
Well,
caught
and
it. I threw it. You caught it. I
Well,
like it.
and you
I don't
realize
think people think. I don't think people really believe you don't know, but you don't know what I'm going to. You don't know what I'm going to say.
Well, so I have, some of the people that I currently work with, like my sales manager, and there's some, and she actually encourages people to listen to the podcast.
Oh, wow.
She says it's
I
really
love it.
good.
Yeah, I love that.
And she goes, so, like, how much work do you put in this? And I said, you know what? I literally show up, and he has a topic, and I find out after the music stops.
Yeah.
And she goes, so that's true. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. I said, there's two reasons for that. One, because he gives me the benefit of the doubt that I can handle it.
Yeah.
And two, he doesn't trust me with coming up with
It's more fun that way.
right. You know what?
Oh, that's great.
And most of the time, I can roll with it.
Yeah, I 100%.
So, but you did buy me. Like when you threw it at me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm thinking now.
We're out.
Yeah. All right. So you bought.